And now it's time to welcome back to the show Rob Lees from Mortgage Choice Blue Mountains in Penrith for our weekly finance segment. Welcome back, Rob.
Good to be back again.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Rob, today we're going to be talking about how to select one of you blokes, a mortgage broker.
So when you're actually looking at thinking, okay, we need a mortgage broker because let's just say we do not have the time or the knowledge to source an appropriate home loan, if it's a home loan, what are some key criteria you would apply in selecting a mortgage broker, Rob?
Yeah, well, first off, I think I just want to underline how important it is to make the right decision in choosing a mortgage broker. And I think number one, because we usually, if we're buying a property, we don't buy that many properties usually in our lives. So it's a big transaction, and there's a lot of stress for most people in that transaction. So finding someone who's going to help you through that process and provide the right advice and kind of walk you through it, hold your hand if that's necessary, is very, very important. And I think also because this sort of transaction, you need to disclose a lot of personal information. All your financial information is disclosed, so it needs to be with someone that you trust.
Yeah, you're laying yourself bare, aren't you?
Absolutely, it's all laid bare, it's all out there. So I think that's important. I've written down 7 questions maybe that you might ask, and it's not so much that you'd ask the mortgage broker. These are questions that you can actually just find out for yourself from your own little bit of research. I think the first one I've got here is that you want to just check out, do they operate under a brand? And not that they have to operate under a particular brand, because there's some really good mortgage brokers that don't have a particular brand, but it just gives you a degree of confidence.
They're independent operators.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I operate under the Mortgage Choice brand, and we have Peter here who operates under the Choice brand, but it just gives you some degree of confidence. Because you know that with that brand there's going to be a whole lot of standards that you've got to adhere to. The second question you might ask is what qualifications and experience do they have? Again, there's very good mortgage brokers that have come into the industry without any financial experience. But again, if they've got financial qualifications and a depth of experience, again, it gives you a lot more confidence. The third thing that you would ask is what choice of lenders are available to them. I think the minimum criteria is that you've got to have accreditation with 4 lenders. That's not going to give you a lot of choice. So you want to know that maybe they've got about 20 plus lenders to choose from.
So you've got that real, diversity, and you've got selection.
Yeah, that's right. You need to know
because everybody's needs are going to be different and individual, and I guess if you've only got 4 suppliers, if you like, to choose from, that's going to limit the options.
That's right. That's right. So you want to know they've got a good choice, good broad choice to choose from. And the next question will be, how do they get paid? Now, for most mortgage brokers, there's no cost for our service. The lender pays a commission, and what's distinctive about Mortgage Choice is that we're paid the same regardless of the lender. That's what I liked about the Mortgage Choice franchise. And the reason for that is that manages the conflict of interest. So I can be focused more on the best outcomes for the client rather than how much I'm going to get paid.
So are there mortgage brokers out there who do take a fee for their services?
There are some. I think it's pretty hard to do that when most of the industry don't charge a fee for service. So generally that will be the case. But you need to find out how that broker's paid. And again, look, it could be a reason for a conflict of interest if, so it's just worth knowing how they get paid.
Sure.
We all need to know that in financial services, because financial services is full of all sorts of conflicts of interest, and it's how we manage that's going to be important information, so that you know they're going to be looking after you and your interests. Next question is, what's their service proposition? I think there's advantages in having a team behind you, because if you're just dealing with an individual broker, what if they get sick? What if they go on holidays? Is there someone there to back them up? Are you going to be well looked after? Have they got people in the back office who are following up loans? Are they going to give you property advice, property reports that are going to help you in terms of choosing a property? All those sorts of things are important.
That's a really good point, actually, because I've dealt with both independent mortgage brokers and people that have got a team behind you. And particularly if you want to know what the answer is from an institution, what I've found with the individuals is because they're often one-person band, they don't get back to you so quickly. But as there's a team, you kind of think, well, somebody in that office would have be able to tell you where you are, in terms
That's right.
particularly if you're waiting to get, approval, which is very critical. So I think there's an advantage of having a team behind you.
I think so. I mean, you might say it's an advantage if there's someone who only writes about 6 loans a year, you're going to get very personalised service too. But there could be a reason for that. But again, the team backs you up, and you know that your issues can be resolved. The last two, I would ask also, what's their reputation? That's probably the most important thing of all, isn't it? And you can read about what people are putting in terms of reviews and all that kind of thing, but we're always going to put the best reviews on our websites.
Well, exactly.
So it kind of helps. But what about someone who's used their service? And recommendations in any profession are always the best.
You can't beat a personal recommendation.
Absolutely. So what are other people saying about their service? And the last question that you need to ask yourself is, listen to your gut. What's my gut feel when I talk to this person on the phone, or when I've met with them? What's my gut saying? Is this someone I trust? Is this someone I want who's going to look after me, who's going to have the knowledge to help me with the big decisions I need to make? Are they going to treat me personally? Are they going to treat me with compassion if there's all sorts of issues I've got to deal with?
And more importantly, with integrity.
Absolutely. So all those sorts of things, and your gut kind of tells you that. If it's not someone you want to deal with, and your gut's saying run, you should run. Find someone else.
Absolutely. Okay, so now there are a couple of accreditations, MFAA and MIAA accreditations. What do they mean practically for the customer?
Or I think it's supposed to be FBAA, that one.
Oh, was it FBAA?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you actually also just tell our listeners what those acronyms stand for?
I think they are Mortgage and Finance Association of Australia, I think it would be, and the Finance Brokers Association of Australia.
FBAA, right.
So, look, they're the two major industry bodies or professional bodies within the industry. My understanding is, I think from what I recall, that most lenders require, for the accreditation of a broker, they've got to be a member of one of these bodies. So,
and they have a code of practice.
Yeah, they all have a code of practice. So it's important to know that the broker you're dealing with, they do operate under a particular code. They've been vetted by these professional bodies. So that again gives you a degree of confidence. Probably the big difference between the two is that the MFAA requires a higher level of professional qualification. MFAA brokers need to have a diploma qualification, whereas for the FBAA it only needs to be a certificate 4. So that'd be really the main difference. And of course, being part of a professional association, there needs to be ongoing professional development and all that kind of thing to be able to keep your accreditation going.
Okay, so if you come across a broker who's not at all accredited, first of all, are they operating legally? And second of all, should you bother with them at all?
Well, that's true. I think you've got to have accreditations with banks, you've got to be a member of a professional body.
Well, you do know, because I remember when I was doing, actually for your organisation many years ago, I think it was MFAA, there wasn't mandatory accreditation, and there were a lot of, not a lot, but some dubious operators. And the financial planners got their act together and sort of said, we need to have a standard of accreditation. And particularly to safeguard an individual consumer, should there be an inappropriate practice, by having a code of practice, it gives you a legal framework by which to take action against those people. Yep. So, I wouldn't even dream of engaging somebody that didn't have... In fact, I think it's you can't even... I don't think you can operate as a mortgage broker today because you have to have that industry accreditation.
Yeah, to have an accreditation with a bank to actually... use their products.
You've got to have the industry accreditation.
You've got to belong to one of these professional bodies. Yeah.
Alrighty, that's great. So let's play a bit more music. Here's my absolute favourite Elvis track, Suspicious Minds.
We're caught in a trap.
Ah, yes, the king of all hip movements, Elvis Presley with Suspicious Minds.
And we're back with Rob Lees from Mortgage Choice Blue Mountains and Penrith. Rob, if you're not happy with your broker, what can you actually do about it?
Okay, well, if you're not happy with your broker and you're halfway through a transaction,
You'd
you
send
can
the boys
switch.
around, wouldn't you?
Well, you could, but you can just switch. You can change. Now, look, that may not always be practical, but there's nothing to stop you changing halfway through a transaction if it's not working out. So that's the first option if you're in the middle of something. But if you've been dealing with a broker and it's settled and it was a horrible process and a whole lot of things went wrong that shouldn't have gone wrong, there is a complaints process. I'd always say first, I think just, aside from the legal part of it, if you're not happy with anyone's service, the first step should always be to go back to that person and let them know.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people find it difficult to speak up and to complain, as it were. But it is very important, as if you do see things starting to go awry, if there are things that are not quite gelling with you, you've got to communicate that and at least give the other party the chance to rectify and to be aware of what you're feeling. Yeah,
look, that's very, very important. I mean, sometimes people escalate it too soon, and it's better to go back to that person, let them know you're unhappy, what you're unhappy about, and it'll give them the option to try and correct that or compensate or whatever it might be to begin with. Look, maybe if you're dealing with someone who's employed by the business, even to go to the business owner and have a conversation with them. I employed a loan writer about 4 years ago, and it was really only several years, a few years on, that I started to have contact again with those clients, that I discovered some things that were being said that were inappropriate. Now, it would have been better if someone had told me, but I just didn't know. So those sorts of things are important. And then if it's not resolved there at that level, then you can go to the next level. It may be to go to the professional body, or it might be to go to the aggregator, and every broker will have an aggregator that looks after the deals. It's sort of like an intermediary between the broker and the bank.
How do you find out who the aggregator is?
Probably be on their website, or if it's a brand like Mortgage Choice or Choice Home Loans, you could go to them. And it might be to the MFAA, the professional body. So there's other bodies you can go to make that formal complaint. And then normally, if that's not resolved at that level, there's every broker should belong to a dispute resolution organisation. For us, that's COSL, the Credit Ombudsman Service Limited, and you can take their complaint to them, and they'll try to sort it out.
Okay, terrific. So now we're all up to date on what to do, how to choose your mortgage broker. Rob, thank you again for joining us on the show. It's Rob Lees from Mortgage Choice Blue Mountains in Penrith, and of course you can contact them on 4739 9749 or visit Rob at his office at 3/13 Hope Street in Blaxland.
Thanks, Rob.